There's a certain electricity in the air when boxing's biggest names start circling each other. Right now, that energy is surrounding one matchup that could shake the sport at its core. Canelo Alvarez versus Terence "Bud" Crawford. The weight, the size, the styles, everything about this fight screams intrigue. But behind all the hype, there's a growing feeling that this might be more than just another blockbuster bout. For Canelo, it could mark the final chapter of a legendary career. The weight factor and Canelo's position. Let's start with one thing that keeps coming up: weight. Canelo's last outing saw him in the ring at 144 pounds, nearly 10 pounds under the typical fighting weight for this division. That's not just a number on a scale. In the world of boxing, that kind of gap matters. It tells you about where a fighter is in his career, about how his body responds to training, and sometimes about the sacrifices being made just to keep competing. In Canelo's case, he's not a man who shies away from the big stage. Even with size differences and physical disadvantages, the lure of the fight, and the payday, is too big to walk away from. But there's an undercurrent here. People close to him are quietly saying this could be the one. Win or lose, this might be his last walk to the ring. Shannon Sharpe didn't sugarcoat it. He's been vocal in warning Canelo about the dangers of facing Crawford, saying outright that the Mexican star could be walking into a nightmare. For Sharpe, this isn't just about a tough fight, it's about speed, skill, and stamina. And in all three categories, he gives the edge to Crawford. His message: this isn't just a risk to Canelo's win-loss record. It could mark the moment the king finally steps down from the throne. Canelo's own words on retirement. It's not just outside voices. Canelo himself has started to openly talk about the possibility of retirement. He's been at this for 2 decades, 20 years of training camps, weigh-ins, and nights under the lights. That grind leaves marks. When I turn 37, I think that's a good time to go, Canelo has said. It's not because I can't fight anymore, but sometimes you just want to do something different. He's been a professional since his teenage years. Now, as he reflects on the journey, it's clear he's thinking about life beyond boxing. He's not rushing to leave, but the horizon is in sight. Eddie Hearn, the man who's been alongside Canelo for some of his biggest nights, believes the Crawford fight could be the swan song. Hearn has seen Canelo push through injury, face monsters in the ring, and fight under unrelenting pressure. If anyone knows the toll it's taken, it's him. And when he says this might be the last one, you have to listen. Performance concerns and age showing. The speculation isn't coming from nowhere. Canelo's recent performances, notably against John Ryder and William Skull, have raised eyebrows. Observers noticed slower combinations, less sharp head movement, and a drop in his once fearsome punching power. The raw explosiveness that terrified opponents in his prime seems less present now. Bernie, a key member of Team Crawford, isn't shy about it. He calls Crawford not just a great fighter, but a legend, and he points out something remarkable. Even in Mexico, where Canelo is an icon, some fans are starting to tilt toward Crawford. This isn't just about nationality anymore. It's about who looks sharper, hungrier, and more dangerous right now. And Crawford? He's not just confident, he's certain. Look him in the eye, Bernie says, and you'll see it. The belief runs that deep. Respect for Canelo, but no illusions. For all the hype around Crawford, Bernie isn't disrespecting Canelo. He still calls him a living legend and gives him full credit for taking on big challenges. He points to Canelo stepping in against Dimitri Bivol, a tall, skilled, reigning champion, when many didn't even know Bivol's name. But he also draws a line. This is a super fight because Crawford has already reached legendary status. David Benavidez might be a big name in the mix, but he's still building his resume. Crawford. He's a 2-time undisputed champion, a fighter of the year, and a man who's been at the top for over a decade. Pavlik's surprising take. Former middleweight champ Kelly Pavlik offers an opinion that cuts against the grain. He sees Crawford as the bigger man in terms of strength and ring presence. He talks about Crawford's raw ability, his tactical genius, and his physicality. But Pavlik's take on Canelo is telling. He believes the Mexican star has shifted into a mode where he's not looking to dominate or destroy opponents, just to do enough to win. Against a fighter as sharp and driven as Crawford, that might not be enough. Pavlik stops short of making a pick, but the implication is there. One man is rising, the other is holding on. Robert Garcia on Canelo's style shift. Trainer Robert Garcia doesn't see this as a mystery. In his eyes, Canelo simply isn't hunting for knockouts anymore. And it's not because he can't get them, it's because he's preserving his body. Garcia points out that Canelo has been fighting at a world-class level since he was 15. That's hundreds of sparring sessions, countless training camps, and years of pushing his body to the edge. At this stage, going all out every time isn't just risky, it could cut short what's left of his career. That's why in recent fights, even when he's dropped opponents, he hasn't gone in for the kill. He's managing himself for longevity. But in a fight like this, some wonder if that approach will be enough. The risk of greatness. Popular analyst Showbiz The Adult frames the fight as potentially history-making for Crawford. Beating Canelo, a global superstar and undisputed champion at 168, would push Bud into rare air. But Showbiz also raises a reality of today's sports world. If Crawford dominates too completely, the backlash will be immediate. In an era where social media drives the conversation, a win that's too good can spark conspiracy theories. People will question how a smaller fighter handled a man like Canelo so easily. The bigger the victory, the louder the suspicion. Stephen A. Smith's clear prediction. Stephen A. Smith isn't mincing words. He's picking Crawford by decision. In his mind, Crawford's ring IQ, discipline, and control of pace will be too much for Canelo's slower output in recent fights. Smith doesn't see anyone knocking out Canelo, but he believes a smart, mobile fighter can outpoint him over 12 rounds. The key, he says, is movement and variety, two things Crawford has in abundance. Crawford's calm confidence. For his part, Crawford isn't rattled by the challenge. He acknowledges Canelo's size and pressure, but says he's preparing for every scenario. He even admits he didn't think the fight would happen, not because he feared it, but because he didn't think Canelo wanted it. Thanks to Turki Alashika's involvement, it's now set for Allegiant Stadium on September 13th, one of the biggest fight nights in years. The strategy game. Antonio, another voice from Team Crawford, lays it out. Bud already has the fight mapped in his head. He knows when to switch stance, when to counter, when to press. But Antonio's also clear. The only way Canelo wins is if he brings back the aggression he showed against Caleb Plant. Anything less, and Crawford will pick him apart. In Antonio's eyes, this isn't about weight. It's about skill. And he does